JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, June 18th, 324. On this Fed Day Wednesday, don't forget markets are closed tomorrow. S&P's up about a 0.25% here and choppy. I wouldn't even say that choppy. There's been some wild swings in, during Fed meetings and post-Fed meetings. And today, knock on wood, hopefully, we've got 36 minutes left to the close. We'll see what happens. But I was talking about this morning, great chart here in Market Watch this morning showing the previous uh, market reactions after Fed Chair Powell's the Fed days and the performance, right? So the 2 o'clock statement comes out, there's a bump, a little dip, and then a ramp as he does his press conference. And now we're kind of like in the witching hour, right? That's where the markets tend to find some weakness. So we'll see how things play out. I mean, it was almost like a carbon copy of his last press conference, just different questions, right? I mean, it's funny. Nobody talks about the government jobs anymore. How funny is that, right? That was the big concern. Oh, Doge is cutting all these government jobs. Unemployment's going to go crazy. Seems like every egg prices, right? I mean, every meeting there's a new thing they talk about, right? So just funny stuff. But there was just they ratcheted up a little bit their inflation expectations, lowered their growth expectations, and then there was like some I wouldn't call it. There's no dissenting. Everybody voted for no cut, but there's some folks who don't think there'll be any cuts this year. So I will see the market up their probability of a rate cut in September up to 60%. I think that's probably like the where we're headed now, pending any crazy market shenanigans, whether geopolitical tensions and inflation soars, something that comes out of left field. Uh, yeah, so nothing crazy in that aspect. It's funny too. Today, it's like the first time. It's like people just read the news and then come up with their questions for today, right? So um, uh, the big well, I mean, the big news was the sorry, one second for folks. The the big news was stable. I wouldn't say big news, but stablecoin was last week, right? Walmart, Amazon, coming out with stablecoin, Visa, Mastercard sold off, and then today was kind of like number two, round number two. You saw coin coming out with a I don't know exactly the wording of it, but that pressured not only pressure Visa, Mastercard, but then PayPal and Block, which is interesting because I mean Visa, Mastercard, I understand, but PayPal and Block have sounded kind of like that little spin with crypto side. But so then today, of course, you have one of the press person come on and talk about Bretton Woods and worrying about the gold standard, right? The big meeting that kind of like set the stage for the global concern currency, the U.S. dollar being the reserve status, and all that fun stuff. So it's just funny. I mean, things are changing, and with the Visa and MasterCard, it's like I keep saying to myself, I'm like, never wrong, just early, as Dennis Gartman used to say all the time. I it's like Visa, MasterCard gonna be like 50% lower in the next 6 to 12 months, and I'm gonna be like, oh, I've been trying to trade that for downside for quite some time. But we'll see how this all plays out. On the flip side, if I'd seen that news with coin, I'm like, oh man, that's the other way to play it, because if there's another a somewhat bigger company that can kind of leverage their scale to be able to disrupt Visa, Mastercard, because a lot of these smaller players, I was talking about Chime and some of these, they try and come into the sector, they really haven't disrupted it. And now if you can get, you know, and then the crypto side. So all right, rants for other days. But anyway, in regards to the market, hopefully we can hold here. You take a look. It's about 345 is when we got to worry about the pull. I would love to see 597 hold on a SPY here. And not only that, we have the markets closed tomorrow. So who knows what headlines we get. I just want to be in a spot where where we're under 597 on the SPY. I don't have any hedges coming into Friday. I don't want to grab any SQQs. I think if there was opportunities for the market to really pull, I think would have had a chance here. But all right. So also pretty much for most of the press conference and after the Fed, the yields were lower, and then it started to reverse, and now they're back to being lower. So I don't think it's changed much. If anything, it's just kind of solidified that the Fed will probably be sitting on their hands, have the capability to react sooner if they need to be, but that cut will come down in September. All right, so now just individual names. Oh, and take a look at a SPY, right? So you have the that chart, and then this is the SPY 1 minute or 2 minute chart, somewhere in there. I mean, it looks eerily similar. Hopefully that doesn't play out here today. We're right at 597 as I'm talking on the SPY. Hopefully that holds. All right. So now just individual names. Dell doing a three day rally today, all the way up over 118, 118.82. My 118 lotto calls were in the money. I closed more out for over 600%. Held a couple just because I think it heads to 120 on Friday. I mean, it didn't look like it for at 3 o'clock. Broke under 116, but I don't think it will take much. You look at the setup, the chart, the pinching, the fact that their earnings were phenomenal and the stock still sold off. I think it's an opportunity. So not only that, I was able to get some of my July 130s out for nearly 100% to cover costs. So now I'm riding free with some profits. Finally, so good to see that on DELL. I'm not going to add anything, but hopefully it can hold its ground here too, stay in the green, and then resume course on Friday. And then Roku. So, that news with Amazon, I was able to get some of my 90 strikes out to cover costs, and then it's just been kind of stuck. Yesterday, it gapped up to 84, gave it all back, and then today in the red for most of the session till 2 o'clock, and then all of a sudden, boom, all the way up to 82. It's funny, I was looking at those July 18th 100 strikes on that big move, and they were like a dollar, 97 cents, 94 cents, 87 cents. I almost went and got them those on Monday and Tuesday. And then finally, I'm looking as it's bouncing. I'm like, I can get them for a severe discount. So got them pretty much 50% off, and now I got plenty of time to ride it. So not insane premiums. And I think even if it gets to 85 plus in the next week or two, those are going to be at least a double, triple. And then obviously, I think it heads back over 100 for earnings. Earnings will be at the end of July. Reddit's holding here at 140 in lieu of trying to add more strikes. I'll just hold the last of my freebie 150s. I mean, such a great trade yesterday. I mean, of course, in hindsight, should I have added more calls this morning? I don't know. My spec lottos, which I'm riding freebie with some nice profits, they're slightly in the red here, so I'll just continue to hold those into Friday. And then if there's continuation Friday morning, maybe then I'll look to get maybe some 165s into next week. I mean, you're looking right now, June 27th, I mean, they're expensive, right? 160s are $1.37 by $1.47. So maybe I'll look to nibble those on Friday. But that one again, I can see it just continue to go, especially if the market holds ground. And then I went and got some spec lottos on RH, and another one of those names. Great earnings, all the way up to 230 and change, or to mid 220s, and then it's kind of sold off. Divisive. I think there's some folks who still think it's overvalued, that the recession's coming, so it's going to hit the retailers. But RH is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's immune, but it's like one of those. It's a higher end retailer, and typically you don't see that impact until later in a recession. So if it comes, also to boot is that the tight Bollinger Band, similar to DELL. I mean, look at. They're not. I don't know if they're as tight as DELL, but again, typically when you have these tight Bollinger Bands, and RH has a history of some volatile swings, you get a outsized move. So inexpensive lottos. We'll see how it plays out here on Friday. Other names, I keep looking at Upstart. I was watching all morning, and it was like in the 56 or 57, and then it's up 10%. I love these names. I used to love Lending Tree back in the day, and Lending Tree used to be a $300 stock, because that's another one of those companies that, when I like Lending Tree, this may be like 8 or 10 years ago, the financial industry, that sector as a whole, was still in its early innings, right? There weren't companies like, I'm trying to think of, well, EverQuote was one of my top 5 stocks, where you search for insurance quotes and they give you 5, 6, 7 different options. That's kind of like what Lending Tree does, but they do insurance, they do everything. The thing with Lending Tree is they got hit I guess there were going to be regulations that they weren't going to be allowed to show different websites for different vendors without permission. I think that got nixed. But anyway, great story. But anyway, in a nutshell, you look at the SoFis, the lending clubs, the Affirms, the Upstarts. It's like one of those back in COVID when those went bonkers. I'm like, oh man, I missed it, and now here they are back down. So definitely names I'll be watching, especially on Friday or over the week. I'll do a little more due diligence on. Trying to look at some of these other names around Solar Edge. I'm trying not to watch. I mean, I would love to see it go back over $20, or maybe just some revamp in the tax bill. That certainly could happen. I think that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. Don't again tomorrow. Fed thinks next move is in rates is lower. All right. Have a great day, folks. I'll be back. Rock and roll.